welcome to the AJ Ask Me Show, a show about my favorite things. My name is AJ, and this is my second interview with Cody Rhodes. I hope you like it. How do you feel about people that say you are saving wrestling?
I think that's probably an overstatement on their part. Super flattering. If anyone's saving wrestling, it's the general fan base because they have the same. I guess we're like-minded in what we want, what we need. You know, WWE does a really great job, but they only service a specific demographic. They've really doubled down on, TVPG and kid-friendly viewing, and there's a whole generation, a whole age group, again, a whole demographic of wrestling fans that are waiting for their wrestling again. And I think we're like-minded. So we're all saving wrestling. You're saving wrestling. Anyone who takes a chance on a product not WWE, and that's not in a contrarian sense. That's in a sense of, I like pro wrestling, and they're not the only people who do it. Let me check some other stuff out. They're saving wrestling. The Bucks are saving wrestling. I think it's important when you pick something up, you put it back better than you found it, and that's something that my dad was really big on, and that's something I have in common with Matt and Nick. Is if this is what we pick up, if this is our life's work, we leave it better than when we found it.
What are your plans for your career next year?
Well, I'm 33. I said I would be done wrestling by 40, which is very unlikely. I don't know. I couldn't plan 2018, 2019. I don't know. I'd like to do more guest roles acting-wise. I think I've learned a little in that field, and I want to expand upon in that field. Not that where it interrupts with my wrestling at all. My New Japan dates, I'd like to advance those. I come over on a limited schedule, and I'd rather come over on a little bit more full-time schedule. They have such great wrestling. The only way you're going to get good at wrestling is by wrestling where there is great wrestling, and I'd like to be there more often than I was this past year. But we also I got some big plans that I can't discuss that take up a lot of time, and I'm very excited about starting that, a different role for me in wrestling. I'm pumped for it.
So I guess that's why you are doing the clock stuff and being the elite.
The clock stuff, yes. You have deduced that. The clock stuff does go hand in hand with what happens next. And what happens next is like one of those Jobs, Bill Gates style things where you thought, like, no way will we ever do this. No way. Who would think that? But I found some outlaw friends of mine who want to do it, and whatever it is we're talking about, and I'm looking forward to it. So, yeah, the clock, for sure. Watch the clock. My wife just walked by. Did you see her? She's ignoring us.
I'm going to do an interview with her soon.
Are you going to do an interview with her? She's a little sharp with her interviews. Depends on if she's awake or not. She hasn't really been friendly with anybody here today. But she's the best, huh? She's the best? Yeah.
Would you rather time travel to the past or to the future, and why?
I'm not a fan of time travel because, playing with fire, I like being right here. I'm a big in the moment person, but I would say if I had to pick the future, because nothing is more annoying than wrestlers who live in the past. I get it that Hulk Hogan was great and the 80s were great and Ric Flair was great and Dusty Rhodes was great. I get it. The Attitude Era was super hot. They were selling out buildings. I get it. But we still got a job to do in the now. So if I could avoid the past, I would absolutely avoid the past. I'd go screaming into the future and deal with the consequences of finding out what's happened.
Why do you keep changing your hair color?
Great question. It'll stay where it's at right now. Apparently, I'm in slapside prison in this current season of Arrow, and apparently in prison you can't have bleach blonde hair, even though one of the prisoners in the mess hall has bleach blonde hair, but Derek Sampson cannot. So I'd go back and forth because I filmed episodes over the course of several months, so I had to go back and over the course of several months change it, and I didn't want to go into all in with my old brunette hair. I just wasn't feeling it. I needed the blonde, something about it. I'm really enjoying it. I never wanted to do it uh, years ago because it was so synonymous with my dad, Jeff Jarrett, and Ric Flair, and I'm looking at Jeff right now, but it was synonymous with those guys, and now I love the "what's old is new" thing. So now I'm sticking with it for a while. Makes me feel powerful.
What does the NWA mean to you?
So I'm less romantic about the NWA, than a lot of folks in terms of its history. And maybe it's because I grew up. I saw this literal title on my dad's desk. I like to think about what it is now, like what it's going to become. You see guys like Scorpio Sky, Willie Mack, Peter Avalon, Sammy Guevara. That's what I want to talk about when I talk about the 70th anniversary. Of course, Ric Flair, Ricky Steamboat, the Crockett's, Terry Allen. I mean, all that stuff is wonderful. But the more we do these interviews, and this is like our third interview, I think, right? Second, but unofficially, I was in the Bucks interview a little bit, kind of. But yeah, the more we do these, you'll realize, I, man, I hate having my head buried in the past, just because I'm an active current wrestler. I want our generation to be just as hot as theirs. So I'm less romantic about its history and more romantic about its future.
Did you forget to say Harley Race for the list?
Oh, of course. And thank you. Harley Race, what, 7-time or 8?
8.
8-time? Harley's the man. Toughest guy in wrestling, apparently. And the first guy that my dad won the title was off of Harley Race with a crossbody. Not unlike how the Nature Boy Ric Flair crossbody. That crossbody's got Harley every time. I became a huge fan of Harley when he was with Vader in WCW because he wasn't just a manager. He was up there taking some unbelievable. Are these people yelling at each other? Oh, he was taking some unbelievable falls and things for his age that he didn't need to be doing. It was special. So I'm a big Harley fan.
What does it mean to you to be part of the 70th anniversary show?
I think it means more. I'm really excited that I'm main eventing it. That feels good. People say what they want about wrestling. Oh, wrestling's not real. Wrestling's this. You can say what you want. When you walk into a building and Tony Schiavone says, "Hey, champ," that feels good, man. That feels special. And that's I want to I want to be a leader of men. I want to be someone in the locker room of value, and I want to be able to put in the best in the ring. I want people to look at it and say he was the best that night, and that's a tall order when you have some of the athletes like you have on this show. I don't know if you've seen Sammy Guevara, but terrible attitude, outstanding acumen in the ring though, and that's a challenge. That's you want to keep up. You never want to get caught in that. When wrestlers tell you, "Oh, I'm old school," usually that means they're lazy. What's the point of being old school? We're living in the new school. But I like to be a little bit of both. So it means a lot to be headlining it. It means a lot to be here. I know my sister's making me get an NWA 70 pin. She's real big on that pin, so I know she's watching. And yeah, it means a lot. I mean, anytime I can drive from my house to Nashville, Tennessee, and the NWA is attached to it, it's a good night.
What is the worst injury you've ever gotten in a match?
Worst injury? I tore my delt and I tore my trap. But I didn't need surgery. I tore them on the same move. It was on TV. Kane gave me a backdrop, and I landed right on my trap. Thank God I didn't land on my neck. And I didn't need surgery. I was very lucky. I at some point, my deltoid probably will rip off, and I will have to finish and get surgery on it. But I haven't had a lot of issues with it. The guy who trained me, Al Snow, you know Al Snow? He used to say you'll work hurt all the time, but never work injured. and that's very good advice. I've never had to work injured, but I feel like I'm filled to the brim with little bitty bruises and bumps and things like that. But that's the job, man. I hate this modern generation of surgery happy. Come on, go out there and do the thing. Tape it up and go. Which is everyone. The more progressive. I don't want to say liberal because that's not the term, but the that new fan base just despises the tape it up and go theory. But I don't know. It's in my bones that way. People paid money to see you. Stop getting random surgeries and come on. Like this job is only going to last so long in the first place. You don't want to waste any time with it. That's my rant.
I saw in a YouTube video that you tried to do moonsault and Fandango caught you from breaking your neck.
Yeah, I think he's not the first guy to do that. Ryback and Curtis Axel did too. Do you know why we shake hands backstage? Do you know why you see everyone shaking hands over and over again? Do you know why?
No.
So people will tell you, they're like, oh, it's a respect thing. It is not. It's because it's my responsibility to pick you up and put you back down safely. So I may not like you at all. I may think you're just bad attitude, jabroni, whatever. But I know everyone in the locker room working together, my job to pick you up and put you back down safely and vice versa. And that's why we shake hands. And I mean, that means respect. But yeah, those guys are, I'm very glad they were able to help me in that situation. I mean, it's Christopher Daniels was the best moonsault ever. Mine is clearly the worst moonsault ever, but I still pull it out from time to time.
I wouldn't say it's the worst because that's discouraging, but
it's below average. But hey, there's always room for improvement, right?
yes. Do you play Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and what do you think of it?
So I played it, and I beat the story portion of it real quickly. It's the best gameplay Zelda of all time, gameplay. The story, I don't want to spoil it for anybody. I thought particularly was a little lacking because there's like a lack of world. Even it's an open world game, but there's like this lack of community to it in a strange way. So the story left me kind of like in my heart a little bit. I loved the side quest with all the horses, though. That's probably my favorite thing. And there's so much replay value to that game. It's just like Metal Gear was. So best gameplay for a Metal Gear of all time. Story a little But I'll continue to play because the Champions Ballad DLC was great. And any Zelda, you put it out there, I'll play it for sure.
I haven't beat the Champions Ballad, but I'm halfway at least.
You're there. You're on your way. You're trending upwards. You got it.
I beat the one-hit obliterator, and I'm 2 champions away from beating the 4 champions.
Just tweet me when you win, Take that day to celebrate.
And then I have to beat Link's Divine Beast.
Yep.
And then I need to beat the boss.
Yep.
And then I'll get the Master Cycle 0.
That's all it takes, man. You got it. You just got to put that time in. Put that time in. You got it.
For me, I think the hardest part of it is finding all of the places that you have to go to get the emblems.
Yeah, there's some kind of like tedious backtracking in the Champions Ballad, but still pretty dope. And that's all part of that's the commitment, man. You want to beat everything. You get that 100%.
I'm working on getting 100% on all the shrines.
There you go. That's very rewarding. Very rewarding. You'll be the only kid to be able to say you did that. So that's good. That's a good call. I skipped a lot of shrines, but it's a good call.
Who was your favorite wrestler when you were a kid?
Shawn Michaels. I don't know. Well, yeah, Shawn Michaels. He just was my generation, the guy I watched and wanted, and I sat through the Mania, and, he didn't win, and then or the Rumble, I think he twice in a row winning the Rumble, and then finally at 12 having to sit there for an hour plus to see him get his moment. There was just something, it wasn't like, I don't think it was cool, little dude. I don't think it was, people weren't real big on like this guy with chaps and his charisma and all this as far as like the other kids I hung out with. But to me, I just thought there was something like that lit up about him, and I thought Shawn Michaels was the best. And then also I could tell the difference when I was watching Shawn Michaels as far as what he did bell to bell. I could tell like that's the type of wrestling I really like. Like they're really going for it, and I every pay-per-view, man. My dad, who probably didn't like watching wrestling anymore at this point, I made him watch. Yeah, so yeah, no, Shawn Michaels for sure hasn't changed. He's kind of a jerk in person, but he's still the best. So whatever. He's bald now too. What happened, right?
Maybe it's because he's old and he lost hair.
Yeah, but you never want to see. I mean, whatever. He still is jacked. Sean's still jacked. He's the best. You should get an interview with Sean. He's the massive ego on him. Massive ego. Still believes in heels and baby faces. So whatever. But he's still the best. What can you say? You can say 100 mean things about Shawn Michaels, and he's still the absolute best. So.
What is the proudest moment of your career?
All in, for sure. Just I knew it would be good. I didn't know it would be what it was. It was really special. My mom cracked a smile. My mom, she was married to Dusty Rhodes, so not much I do is going to impress her. She's a great mother, but she cracked a smile. That made my day. 11,236 people did more than crack a smile. And it's nice when somebody says, hey, you can't do something. But then you do it, and it's no longer about the, hey, you can't do it. It's about, oh, well, we could have done more. What could we do next? And that's where my mind's at now,
That just gave me an idea.
Yeah, what's your idea, man?
Maybe for the January 1st, it could be an all-in-2 that has 20,000 seats.
So the trick with 20,000 seats is not most arenas with a stage setup like get you to 17 to 15. There's some stadiums though that could hold 20, and then there's some like intimate style stadiums like the Citrus Bowl. Just watch the clock, man. Watch the clock. You're a journalist. You might be able to figure it out before we get there. Just watch that clock. Hey, you see Peter Avalon, by the way? You know Peter? Hey, Peter, come here for a second, please. Yeah, come on in. Peter, this is AJ.
Hey, what's up, AJ? Nice to meet you.
So Peter's been wrestling for 10 years. This is his first time on the road.
Yeah, first time with you, Cody.
He's the man. Yeah, keep an eye on Peter Avalon. Maybe AJ will interview at some point, right? Will you interview him?
Thank you,
You got to go to Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, do some interviews. Let Marquez have you in there and stuff.
You'd love it.
I'll need
Just
to
keep-
have a plane to get the Hollywood.
Nah, man, just keep breaking the walls down. People fly you out. Make people pay for this stuff. Don't pay for nothing. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
Thank you. Don't pay for nothing, man.
Will you come back to St. Louis to wrestle again soon?
I keep trying to get people to come to St. Louis. Hey, Ring of Honor, go to St. Louis. Hey, somebody else go to St. Louis. Hey, St. Louis is a good idea. For some reason, St. Louis just isn't as... People don't go nuts about St. Louis like I want them to. It's always the same cities, but St. Louis has such a rich wrestling history. I'd really like to give them something significant. Hopefully more places go to St. Louis. I don't know why. It's just a weird, cold area. Who knows? Scott trades in St. Louis, right?
It's now called the Enterprise Center now.
Now I know. Yeah, so WWE's still doing it though, right? Yeah, hopefully they're indie. I mean, Glory Pro's kind of St. Louis, kind of, right? Yeah, we'll see. But I always like being in St. Louis.
Glory Pro's all around Illinois and St. Louis area.
Yeah, that's its territory.
There's also some other indie promotions that stay around the St. Louis area, like World League Wrestling, which has Harley Race owning it.
Yeah. Alrighty. Hopefully I'll get back out there soon.
And there's Dynamo Pro Wrestling.
Cool. Very cool.
There's New Breed Wrestling.
You know it all, man. You got it. Heck yeah.
That's the end. Thanks for the interview.
You did it, buddy. Outstanding. Until the next time, right? Yeah, man. I think you're going to like the next place we do an interview. You're going to be down with it, man. That's all I can say. That's all I can say.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the AJ Awesome Show. I'd like to thank Cody Rhodes for being my special guest. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you next time.